Hi, Brian Lewandowski with RJ Amin. Today we're visiting with Intermediate School District 917, and we are lucky enough to have Nicole Rausch from 917 join us. Nicole is the Intermediate's business manager, and hopefully she'll share some information about who the district is, their culture, some challenges they face, their attitude and commitment to safety, and really a desire to become a better risk from an insurance standpoint with their workers' comp. So thank you, Nicole. We're excited to share this information. Tell us a little bit about yourself, background, where you came from.
Okay, Brian. I started with Intermediate School District 917 probably about 16 years ago. I have a background in finance and economics, and so when I came into the district, my focus was on operations. I managed the business department. I also managed the health and benefits in the district. It's trailed into food service and transportation, and so and now workers' compensation has become more of a focus for me.
Okay.
Let's see. Intermediate School District 917 was established actually in February of 1970 by the state of Minnesota to provide educational services to member districts. We have statutes that we are governed by, and we have a appointed board that governs Intermediate 917 that's made up of 9 of our member districts.
Okay.
Just so you know who all of them are. We have South St. Paul, Burnsville, Egan, Savage, Farmington, Lakeville, Randolph, Hastings,
Okay.
West St. Paul, Inver Grove Heights, and Bloomington.
Did they all
Our
start in
member
1970?
No, actually, Bloomington is new,
Okay.
and we did at one point have Rosemont School District in our consortium.
Okay.
But then as they got bigger, they moved on and are kind of standalone on their own for special education services.
And I imagine a lot has changed from
A lot
1970 to today as far as who your students are, population, and can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
the district?
Yeah,
And
I would say, and this was before my time, but probably from 1970s to early 90s, our focus, 80% of our business was probably career technical education for post-secondary and secondary students, and 20% of our business was special education students, and
Okay.
even the population of those special education students is very different than it was.
sure.
Back in that day, it was probably more cognitive disabilities, deaf and hard of hearing, visually impaired,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of emotional behavior disorders, but a little more, a different level, degree of service. And then I would say probably about the time I came in, late 90s, we switched completely. We have probably 20% that's alternative learning programs, secondary vocational programs, and 80% of our business is special education.
Okay.
And in the last 10 years, that population has changed. The students we serve are the highest need students that are on the highest need autism spectrum, and typically they have some mental health disabilities within that.
Okay.
And so as I've watched over the last 10 years, it's caused significant safety issues for our staff.
Mm-hmm.
There's more physical confrontations with that, and my mindset's had to grow with that.
Sure.
To try to make workers' comp has become more of a forefront role in my position here at the district.
I imagine with the changes that you have seen, they have implemented some different safety requirements, equipment that they use, training for the employees, things like that.
917's administrative staff, I would say, really has had to take a change for probably the better. I would have to agree with this. It's become in the forefront of our minds on what can we do, and as we receive feedback from the insurance companies that we've been participating with,
Mm-hmm.
Networking with other special ed programs in the state, what are the things that we can do to try to work with these students, provide safe environment for staff coming in so that they enjoy coming to work each day and feeling safe in their environment. I think the first thing that we did was we established a larger labor force called behavior assistance teams that have 2 to 4 staff members at some of these higher intense program sites.
Okay.
And they're there to help support staff, prevent, and de-escalate situations and come in and try to control the situation before it becomes a situation where students are injuring the staff person.
Okay.
We've been and continue to look for protective equipment for our staff depending on the needs of the student. And I brought a couple samples just so you can really kind of get a visual, because even when I saw these coming in, you don't really understand what we're dealing with.
Sure, yeah, please share with us.
And so a lot of staff are dealing with students with bodily fluid issues, and so
Okay.
we do provide gowns and masks and goggles to protect them from bodily fluids.
Yeah,
We have students that, in some cases like to greet staff with, headbutts, and, or have ways that they deal with by headbutting staff, and so we have helmets to protect particular students and staffs that are working together.
mm-hmm.
And then, so far, the only thing in industry that we found that works are Kevlar sleeves and gloves to
Okay.
protect the staff from bites from students. We do even have staff that will go out and buy paddings, like football materials that they wear under their clothing as well,
Mm-hmm.
if there's a particular student in need. And we're still kind of looking to see what else can we do or what else can we offer staff.
What type of training, do they all go through training for this equipment on how to use it, put it on, in what environment?
My understanding is that they do,
Okay.
and I think they address probably with the supervisor and themselves with what particular students they'll be working with, what's going to work for them and,
Okay.
and what isn't. And then when we get new students, we might discover a particular need that's not getting
Sure.
met.
Okay.
The other thing,
Yes.
training, and yeah, I would say probably in the last 5 years,
Mhm.
we've incorporated some intense training for staff, depending on if they're more in a behavioral setting situation.
Mhm.
All staff get 8 hours of training, which is NCI training.
Okay.
It's non-violent crisis intervention training.
Okay.
So all staff get that, and that's really to teach them to prevention skills and de-escalation skills and some types of restraint.
So that's an 8-hour course that they all go through? Is
They all
that
go through,
okay?
yes.
Is that done once a year, or how often do they do that?
It's done once a year, and then if we get new staff that are transitioning in, then it's done again. And if it's in the middle of the year, we do have some staff that are actually trained to be able to provide that training to
Okay.
the staff that are coming in. And then for our more severe student populations, there are staff that take 22-hour training course, which is called, sorry, I don't remember the name, it's Professional Crisis Management Training.
Mm-hmm.
And that it has the same type of training as the 8 hours, but then you're really dealing with some heavy training, and it's called prone restraint training, and that's very important to get intense training on that. It's a particular hold with students
Okay.
that are needing that to mitigate injury to themselves and to staff.
Okay.
And lastly, we've really developed our written procedures. We have had procedures in the district, but we felt it was important to really define them.
Mhm.
All stages, from the point of a staff person getting injured, what they need to do, what they need to complete, what clinics that are available to them. Training for the supervisors, really defining how they walk through those stages to help their employees so that they can get back to work. And then we are doing email communications, and then starting to incorporate 5 or 10 minutes of kind of reminder education for the staff during
Mhm.
their small group staff meetings that they have with their supervisors.
Okay. So I think it's safe to say that safety is, has a high level importance for intermediate 917.
Really has become of importance for us.
What is your attitude or opinion of returning people to work? If you could share that with us. As far as employees are injured, bringing them back in some capacity while they're healing. Is that a policy that you've adopted, that you're towards, or what are your thoughts on that?
I would say in the last, probably about 5 years ago, we've had a policy. It was defined that we had a return to work initiative for
Mhm.
staff. But we weren't looking at it in the right way. We were looking at how do we return them to work in the work capacity that they're doing.
Sure.
Not looking outside the box and saying, we should really get them back to work to help the healing process,
Yep.
mentally and physically. It could be as simple as bringing them in the office to answer phones, or to, in our case, we've got a staff person that's working in the business office right now doing filing and creating labels and doing all of those things. So it's changed and it's evolved. I would say we're doing a really good job this year, kind of saying, you know, each time you have somebody that's got restrictions, what can we do to bring them back in? The supervisors
Sure.
are looking at it, trying to really reinforce to the staff person that we can accommodate you in whatever fashion that is. Sometimes it's hard at the clinic level with those restrictions for the doctors to understand that we do have that policy.
Yep.
And I think that's gonna take time for those, well, I would hope that they would provide restrictions that the staff person, that they're aware that the staff person can have other options.
That you can
besides their job.
facilitate for that, yeah. Good. Any, as far as loss prevention strategies that you find challenging? I mean, you are not going to prevent injuries from happening just through the scope of your work, but are you willing to work with an insurance company as far as making recommendations for loss control visits, maybe strengthening return to work, or looking at new ideas?
Yes.
Okay.
917, you know, we put all this stuff in place, and we still know that we're not going to change the environment we're working in. We're going to have incidents happen. We're going to have to, you know, have return to work opportunities for employees. But I feel like we're still in a situation where what else can we do?
Sure.
We're seeking strategies. You know, we want to do the best we can for our staff and get out of the situation we're in, where we're in the state pool. So if anybody has ideas or suggestions, we're open to anything.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about leading up to the pool. What was the strategy behind just how your approach to workers' comp and how that has evolved? You were self-insured at one point, I know, and then went with some standard markets. Tell me a little bit about that.
You know, I'll have to be honest. My focus was relying on the agent and the insurance company to look at the claims, review the claims. My focus was, let's just make sure we get meet all the compliance issues and fill the paperwork out and, you know, get to people to the clinics. I wasn't understanding that I need to be as educated or have somebody that can educate me and really have this as a focus in my job. And so I relied heavily on the agencies and insurance companies to, you know, work with renewals and continue that on. And when we got into a situation where private insurance companies weren't looking at us anymore and we ended up in the state pool, I said, all right, this needs to be our focus. This needs to be the administrator's focus, and we need to bring forth additional expertise to move in a different, you know, strategic plan. And with that, this year we knowing that my lack of knowledge in work comp and my education, that I probably needed to bring in a consultant to really take us to that next level. And so we did do that. And I know that it'll take time to really see some changes with that. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we can, sooner than later, work with a private insurance company that can give us more of that personal edge. I know that we're going to be priced in our premiums based on what needs to happen so that people insurance carriers break even. But I'd like the opportunity to work with an insurance company and then also work with our consultant to kind of move this to the next stage of what we need to do in the district.
That's wonderful. I thank you. It's not easy always sharing your personal experiences with it, but it sounds like you are moving in the right direction, and thank you for sharing that.
I appreciate you taking the time and giving us a chance to explain what 917 is all about, and that we really care about our staff, and that we'd like to find a relationship with an insurance company that will consider us.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.